All right, welcome to the Nashville Number System. This is lesson 1. We have several videos that we're going to be covering, all of the stuff that you need to know about the Nashville Number System. I know you've wanted to know about it, and I'm here to tell you about it and what it means to you as a fiddle player. I think that's the most important thing, is that, we all have heard about this Nashville Number System, and we've heard people employ it, and we might even know what it is, but we don't know what it means to us. So that's what we're going to be covering in all of these videos. And in this video, I'm going to start with showing you what I call the Fiddle Capo, which is kind of this is where we're going to get started figuring out how the Nashville Number System relates to the fiddle. So let's get started with that. We're going to pretend that you are in a jam and somebody has called Your Love Is Like a Flower and they want to sing it in the key of E. Now, you may say to yourself, well, I'm out. That's it. I got nothing. I guess I could play the open E string a few times, but other than that, I'm not entirely sure what to do. And then you may say to yourself, oh, well, I guess I'll go figure out how to play an E scale, and maybe come back to the jam and do a better job next time. And actually, that's not going to help you too terribly much either. What's going to help you is understanding standard chord progressions for these songs and what to do about it. What to do about it as a fiddle player, right? So let's talk about the first part. The way we're going to go about this is that whatever key the person singing it wants you to be in, you're immediately, without even thinking about it, going to put your first finger on the note of that key. So someone says, Your Love Is Like a Flower in E, and you go, okay, I'm ready. And from there, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to double it up with the higher string, okay? And we're going to play those two together. Now, let's talk a little bit about the technique of that. When we do that, we're not going to flatten it out or, try to pancake our first finger over the two like a bar chord on a guitar. Not at all. The technique's totally different. What we're going to do is actually set the finger down right on the fingerboard between the two strings. And trust me, I've got, nice dainty hands. And even for me, it covers those two strings perfectly fine. So look, I've got my first finger down and I'm covering both those notes like that. If you start to flatten out, the intonation goes super weird. And also you don't have those other fingers as free to do the other stuff that you need to do. Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to practice, just doing that, just putting that first finger down. Okay, got that? And when I do this, I like to throw a little style into it right off the bat. I mean, why should we learn things in a super sterile fashion and get all, used to it that way, and then later try to add some style and some oomph and some grit? Right from the beginning, I want you to start like this. Give me a little bit of vertical motion with the bow and slide into it. Like that, okay? It feels fun, doesn't it? It's kind of satisfying. Really good. All right, now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to learn our second double stop position, okay? And that is this. That's going to be a high third finger. So I'm leaving this first finger on, by the way. This is our capo. This is the Fiddle Capo. It's vastly superior to all the other capos because, number one, it's free. We didn't have to pay $75 for it. It's not made of titanium. It comes right on your hand. And unless there's some sort of weird industrial accident, you're probably not going to leave it at a jam, which is great, because trust me, I have a house full of other people's capos. But this capo just comes with you wherever you go. So once we've put it on, we're going to leave it there. Now, our next double stop that we're going to do is that high 3. So we've still got this down. We're going to go over to the G string, stretch it up, high 3, and play those two strings together, the G and D string. Okay, got that? So we've got this one. All right, and the third one that we need is right here. Still, capo on, right? Capo's still on. Second finger on the original string we started on. So in that case, that's the D string, and just on the D string, not both, just on the D string, but still the capo is on. And we played those two strings together, the D and A. All right, so let's start back at the beginning. We've got our first finger. We've got our high 3. Add 2. And you notice the little slide. Again, style, right from the... Listen, if you're not going to sound good, at least look good. You know what I'm saying? But you will sound good. That's the thing. You've got to remember that this is nothing to be scared of. It's not life or death. Don't forget to breathe. These are very important things. Like that, okay? Now, let's talk about what those double stops mean. We have a language that we use to talk about chords in traditional music, and it's called the number system. Some people call it the Nashville Number System, and since I live in Nashville, I really like to call it the Nashville Number System. It makes me feel special. So we're gonna call it that. And it actually it came about in Nashville because all these different musicians were gathering in these studios, in the 40s when country music was starting to become a hugely popular commercial enterprise, right? And you would have maybe a classical violinist, coming down from Indianapolis, and you would have a banjo player coming from, Eastern North Carolina, and you would have a guitar player from, born and bred in Nashville, and that kind of thing. And as you might imagine, the chances of those people, that group of people, all having the same nomenclature, all having the same lingo, were pretty slim, right? So for example, guitar players, they use those capos, right, that you've seen on the guitars, those little, the things that, we're using our first finger for. And they put those on, and they put them on different frets to be able to play the same shape on the guitar, but get a different chord. So it changes where the frets start. And so, for example, if you play a G chord on the guitar, but you put your capo up on the second fret, then you've raised it up by 2 half steps, and now you're playing a G shape, but you're getting A. So get this, some guitar players in the studio will call that chord G2. So then you've got your classical violinist down from Indianapolis, who wants sheet music for everything, and they're talking about everything in, standard notation and letter forms and all that kind of thing. And you've got your banjo player who doesn't know the letter names to anything. And by the way, that's not a knock on banjo players. I want to be clear about this. I know this is fiddlevideo.com, and we love our fiddle players, and we do tend to think that the fiddle might be the king/queen of all the instruments. But I'll tell you this, when it comes to bluegrass, we don't tell banjo jokes around here, and here's why. Without banjo players, most songs would never start. We'd all just be sitting there. Banjo players kick off so many songs. They have so much responsibility on their shoulders. Buy them a beer, make them a sandwich, So anyway, we love our banjo players in bluegrass. So anyway, so we've got all these different people trying to talk the same language. So the Nashville Number System was born as a way to bring everybody onto the same page. And here's how it works. It works such that whatever key we want to be in, whatever home base that song's going to be in, so let's say we're in the key of A. A becomes 1. We've turned all the letters into numbers, and we walk our way up from there using the scale and attaching the numbers accordingly. So A is 1, B is 2, C sharp is 3, D is 4, E is 5, F sharp is 6, G sharp is 7, and we're back to A again. And then it's just key specific. So if I'm in G, G is 1, A is 2, B, et cetera, et cetera. So you get the idea. And you might have even heard about this system before, but probably have struggled to figure out what it means to you, right? As a fiddle player, we don't really run into a need to talk about that. But if you're playing bluegrass, you absolutely do. So let's get back to our double stops. Remember this one? That's our original, right? We're in the key of E. That's our 1 chord. Got it? This one over here, that's our 4 chord. Now, some of you may be doing the math in your head. You may be thinking, E, F sharp, G. Don't worry about it. Do not worry about it. Once you know that you're in the key of E, You just put this pattern on and roll with it. Now, the three most common chords in traditional music of the numbers are 1, 4, and 5. You may recognize them from like Wild Thing, right? Or Louie, right? Same deal. Those are 1, 4, and 5 chords. So rock music, bluegrass music, whatever, 1, 4, and 5 across the board. Probably 97% of songs are using pretty much just that. So we've got 1, we've got 4, we've got 5. All right, you with me? So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to call the numbers, and we're just going to play long bows. Follow me along. Here we go. We'll put our ones on, put our capo on. Here we go. So they 1, 4. Back to 1. To the 5 now. Back to 1 now. To the 4. And 1. Quick 5. Back to 1. Let's do it again. And 1. To the 4 now. To the 1. Now to 5. Back to 1. To the 4 now. Back to 1. Quick 5. And 1. Let's do it again. So they tell me your love is like a flower. In the springtime it blossoms so fair. And in the fall when it withers away, dear. And they tell me that's the way of your love. All right, so now you just backed somebody up in the key of E. Hello, victory. It's amazing, all right? But what if they don't call it an E? What if they call it in B flat? Then what happens? We have to learn a whole new pattern. So, oh, no, we don't. No, we don't. Look, check it out. Okay. What's the first thing we do when someone says, hey, let's do Your Love is Like a Flower in B flat? Oh, right, I put my first finger on the B flat. Right there, bam. I double it up with the higher string. Right? Now, where's my 4 chord? Oh yeah, it's a high 3. Now, this is not a high 3 in the sense that it's always going to be exactly like the G sharp or the whatever in first position. It's just a high 3 in reference to the first finger. So just remember that stretch. It's whatever that stretch is. And your ear will start to be able to pick it up. Back to 1. Where's our 5 chord? Second finger on the original string. And by the way, it's going to take you a minute to get these in tune. It's also going to take you a minute to, figure out how to keep that bow on 2 strings all the time. That's part of the practice, and that's okay. It's one of the reasons I do so much sliding. Sliding helps me get there and, hear where I'm going rather than just hoping for the best, right? All right, you ready? Here we go. 2, 3. So they tell me your love is like a flower. In the springtime it blossoms so fair. And in the fall when it withers away, dear. And they tell me that's the way of your love. All right, B flat. Nice. What about C though? B flat felt a little low for me. I feel like C. Let's go C. All right. Wait a minute. Now what are we gonna do? I don't really have a first finger, first position C note available to me. Who cares? We're gonna put our first finger on C. We do not care where it is. How about this one? So, you know where you normally would play low A2? Put your first finger right there. You can double check your intonation if you're a little uneasy about being over in second position. You can use your tuner, but what I like to do is use the open string that's available to me and really listen for that. So use the open E. I double it up with my higher string. I've got my high third finger for the 4 chord. I've got my second finger for the 5 chord. All right, you ready? 2, 3. So they tell me your love is like a flower. In the springtime it blossoms so fair. And in the fall when it withers away, and they tell me that's the way of your love. So isn't that amazing? Now you're starting to see that this pattern that I showed you, I think you're starting to put it together that, oh, wait a second, this is movable. Maybe I just need to learn the one pattern and move it all around the fiddle. And if that's what you were thinking, yes, that is exactly right. And if you hadn't put that together yet, well, that is what's happening. So here's what we're gonna do. I've got you going on the basics of the pattern itself, but we have a lot more to talk about in terms of how to now use that pattern, because you're not gonna go to a jam and just play long bows loudly at everybody who's singing, but we are gonna use those patterns in stylistic ways to create solos, back people up, play fills, chop, all of that stuff. So as we go through all of these lessons, you're gonna get all those examples. So come check it out over at lesson 2.